airs polluted, foods contaminated, water, drinking water, all dirty and more of polluted. So all these, who have created this then? This is basically the users of the resources have actually played the main role to actually bring to this stage. And giving, and just again, this as far as sustainable reporting is concerned, whether it was in the sustainable reporting or whether it is, ESG reporting. This has been in practice for several years. And if you, one of the big, big four firms carried out the survey last year, that showed the majority, almost 86-87% of the G250 companies across the globe already started, reporting on the sustainable reporting standards, which is ESG. And majority of them, almost 2/3, those participating companies of G250 companies across the globe confirmed that climate risk is the main risk for their business. So this is something that we need to act now. And giving you one more, that's which goes first, whether it's the sustainable reporting practices, business practices, or standard sustainable reporting standards. That was also touched upon at session 2. And for us, all the discussions, even we talked about our COP27, our Prime Minister actually touched upon this. He was not only acknowledging, he was actually demanding, requesting the world to compensate Nepal. We are a sufferer. We are not the creator of this climate change, although every household, every one of us are also, part of this process, but in the quantum amount of the damage that has been in this earth, or especially this region, especially our country, that's the reason actually government already raised this issue that we should be actually getting compensation for that. And that's which comes first is development versus the sustainability. We also talked about the roads that is to be constructed, where a lot of trees to be cut down, a lot of infrastructure to be built. In that case, just giving you one experience of one of the very largest mining company in Australia. Exploration, that is something they would be one of the very biggest contributor for this particularly the climate part. They have already made commitment that in next 6 years, by 2030, they're going to have net zero position. Meaning they have already invested, huge amount of investment has already started, initiated, not only in the governance, also in the infrastructure. A lot of, the rails, trains, whatever, shipping vessels, that is also going to be based on this, renewable energy. Maybe batteries going to be replace the fossil fuels and so on. So these are the meaning. Each and every aspect of the business, even from the procurement, we need to now think of our entire value chain. We need to look at as far as the business practices are concerned. So that whatever your vendor, even if we talked about scope 1, 2, 3. What about scope 2, scope 3? That is there in the procurement vendors, selection of vendors, procurement of the goods and services, that is also need to be looked at. So this is something, lot of activities, lot of things that needs to be done. So linking the sustainable business practices with sustainable reporting actually enables sustainable business practices. It's not a chicken and egg situation. It needs to go side by side. And sustainable reporting business practices actually do provide a lot of information for this sustainable reporting, and its credibility is to be ensured accordingly. So this is something, and I think what we discussed at the very first, again, is need to change from the behavioral change. We need to have behavioral change first. We need to change ourselves, which, Mr. Amal actually touched upon earlier. Even today, we also talked about this bottle. I'm sorry, I'm also part of this management, being past president of the ICAN. We have even distributed plastic boulders. We should have actually used something. Sorry for that. I am also part of this management. So this is something we need to look at in its entirety. So with this, now we have got very, experienced, learned, panel with us. We will be discussing more on what is the practices state of play in your direction. What is the pressing issue for us? For the standard setters, for the accounting bodies that we should be, taken care of. So with that, now I would like to actually request the panel for each of you, please, maybe maximum 4 to 5 minutes, talk about, the sustainability reporting practices and sustainability reporting and the role of the standard setters and the accounting bodies that is going on in your respective jurisdiction. Over to you, Spriti.
At the outset, let me appreciate the efforts of ICAN and Mr. Susan Kafle, an entire team who has made really a wonderful arrangement and organized such a wonderful program over here at Pokhara. I can see the attendance and everyone is so interested in this topic. So congratulations to you, ICAN, entire ICAN. And Mr. Prakash Thapa has already set the tone by mentioning about a lot of things in very quickly about sustainability by giving us small examples like how we have shifted from plastic bottles to the water bottle, glass bottles, and so on. So excellent tone has been set by Mr. Thapa, and I can see my colleagues on the SAFA Sustainability Committee, Mr. Ahmed and Mr. Parveen. So we were actually discussing and doing a lot of things together in recent last more than 1 year. And because of that, I think this session over here has been planned. So, and my very dynamic panelist who is also there. I don't know him much, but I'm sure with this panel, I'll be indulging more into this. So, and my dear seniors and friends, it's a really great opportunity to discuss with all of you on this topic. So my experience, so let me understand, if you can raise your hand, how many of you are actually aware about what is sustainability? If you can raise your hand. Yes, anyone?
Come on, you have been listening about it all day.
No, this is the expected results.
Yeah.
Because this is the expected results, and I want to understand the same thing is happening here also. Because this is my 3rd year in the council, and no doubt I am at the region and branch level since more than 10 years. But the first year when our president, ICAI, CA India President Mr. Mitra was there, and he asked, when I got elected and before formation of the council, he asked me, Preeti, which committee you would like to take? So I told him, sir, whichever committee you will give, I'll work on that. So then when the nominations came, I was in the Sustainability Board, and this Sustainability Board of India is the first board, pioneer in the world. So then I know all the things, all the subjects. Then I told him, sir, which committee you are giving me? If there is a session or program in GST, we find 500 participants. If it is a direct tax, we find 400 participants. If it is accounting or accounting standards, 200. If it is standards on auditing, 100. And in sustainability, hardly 10 participants. And now then, here I am really amazed to see on the topic of sustainability, so many participants at Pokhara. So it's excellent. But then actually in 2 years, we have done a lot of work, and even recently the survey also we have done at SAFA level. So I'm sure it must have been circulated by all of you, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and everyone. So I request all of you to, even at here Nepal, I request all of you to please respond. So what is sustainability? The first video which I have seen, 2 years back, is about nature require people or people require nature. Yes, can you answer this? People require or nature require people? I am going very simple terms, so everyone can actually get involved and understand what is sustainability. People require nature or nature require people? Anyone can answer this? Yes? People require nature. So when we require things like, say, we require our clothes, we require food, how much care we take? How much care we take about all these things? Yeah, a lot of care, ironing, washing the clothes, our shirt. So what care we are taking about nature? We require nature. What care we are taking? Are we taking any specific care? Yes or no? Quickly. No. So, yes, not really. So what happens, friends, now we are finding, a lot of species of animals are no more, or very few. The tigers, or we have never seen the dinosaurs, which were there some hundreds, thousands years ago, right? So now they are no more. So if we don't take care of nature, our next generations also is in question mark. So it is very, very important we should take care of nature, and that is what about one part of sustainability is environment. There are social as well as the governance, but very important part is environment, and a lot of sustainable practices are being actually started for taking care of environment, like solar panels or alternate energies, and a lot of things. Now the regulators have also started, because in COP26 Paris Agreement has been signed, and in that every country has given by maybe within 50 years, by 20, in India it is by 2070, India will become carbon neutral, and for that by 2030 the Panchamrut to be followed. So here again Nepal, Mr. Praveenji may be telling when the Nepal is going to be the carbon neutral, what are the commitments in the Paris Agreement, right? And accordingly all the regulators, the Security and Exchange Board of India, Security Commissions have followed the regulations, so that have formed the regulations, so that all the corporates, the banking regulations have come, the green deposits and the concept of green bonds have come. So all those things have started. So the money actually is being utilized for all the green initiatives and for environment. So this is one part. All of you invest into the capital market? Yes or no? Yes. So what we see? We see the profits. Yes. So first we see if the profits are good, we'll earn more, the dividends are there, the share price will increase. Right? First profit, then people, and then planet, in the 3 P's. But these 3 P's are right now reverse order. First is all about planet, take care of planet, because the reporting, sustainability reporting is in place. And now the annual reports, if you see, all the sustainability reporting has been started. And then about people, what care we take about people, the stakeholders, the regulators, the employees, the key managerial personals, the social, what is the attrition rate, what is the gender equality, whether the females are paid the same rates what the males are being paid. A lot of questionnaire on social, that is all the people, and then the profit. And this is all for the peace and prosperity of everyone. So these 5 P's are very important, and this is whole about the sustainability. This, within this limited time with these 2 examples, I'm sure little bit I can contribute for your understanding. Thank you very much.
You can use this, Sabisha.
This one is okay.
Okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. I think if I go back to the topic of this third session, experience sharing on sustainable business practices and sustainability reporting. One thing actually what Preeti has said, yes, the climate change or the environmental change is real and present danger. No doubt about it. And we being a South Asian are one of the most vulnerable, be it a mountainous country like Nepal or an island country like Maldives, or in between Bangladesh, plain lands of Bangladesh, Pakistan, India. We are one of the worst sufferer of possible climate changes. So we have to act now. However, what is also disappointing a bit, if you look at international arena, still there are a lot of conspiracy theory. And they are also sometimes take big momentum or traction because of the political event of those countries. So the geopolitical risk will be always there. We have seen after the advent of Russia-Ukraine crisis or war, whatever you term it politically, there was an energy scarcity in Europe. And then there was a strong push to go back to the coal-based energy. Our moderator spent a bit time in Australia. I myself spent, Australia is one of the largest exporter of coal. And that's why they contribute to the large greenhouse emission. So going back to the coal is diluting your focus from COP26 mandate to be carbon neutral, reducing the global temperature by 1.5 degree, all these things. So always there will be hiccups along the line. But I think we need to be convinced what we are hearing, that we have to change our behavior. Because I wish Elon Musk would have been here, because he is a big fan of, extraterritorial territory, like he is willing to be buried in Mars or want to create another habitat in somewhere planet. But that I don't think is happening in at least our lifetime. So we have to live with this planet. And that is why it is very important that our behavior, whether as an individual, whether as a business, whether as a government or whether as an institution, are reflected this sustainable matter. And that's why business has a very important role in development of country, development of population, and that's why that practice needs to be very sustainable. I came from Bangladesh. As you know, Bangladesh, one of the largest exporter of RMG, ready-made garments. Now, in ready-made garments, there are a number of categories. One is called knitting, where is a huge amount of water required. Now, in the production process, many of the developed country has intentionally moved away from that knitting process because it's a huge water consuming. But the global brands, they are shifting those orders to Bangladesh or countries where environmental standards are less rigid. So what's happening? Our groundwater level is depleting. The surface water is also getting polluted. So all these factors, but the businesses are gaining or getting money because no one is taking these orders. So how the objective of profitability impact the larger population? Maybe few people are getting profit by or financially rewarded, but the vast majority is getting deprived from their share in the nature. Specifically about the reporting process, as mentioned in the session topic, in Bangladesh, we have not yet formally announced which type of entity will be covered under S1 and S2 disclosure. However, for last 8 to 10 years, many of the businesses are voluntary basis providing ESG disclosure, sustainability disclosure, mainly by following GRI standards. As we know, pre-IFRS S1, S2, there are a number of global standards available for sustainability reporting, ESG reporting. GRI was one of those. Based on that, Dhaka Stock Exchange, that is the premier stock exchange of the country, has recommended GRI disclosure on a voluntary basis. Just last December, our central bank has issued a draft guideline for the banks and NBFIs to provide certain information to central bank in terms of their carbon footprint. The real challenges that we are facing, I was also involved in the earlier session, is data collection, because I have S1 and S2 required the data on the full value chain. And our economy, if we consider South Asian country, is still primarily driven by the SMEs or micro SMEs, where the data availability will be quite critical factor. So that's why I always recommend, as a SAFA body, we should not jump in the conclusion soon. We have to get the ground reality and go by step implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Saviji. Moving on, I think as far as Nepal is concerned, a lot of informations or status has already been shared. So I would like to actually request the Sri Lankan perspective from Tilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You all are after lunch. Therefore, I would like to have a bit of an interaction with you also. Mr. Chairman, before I move on to sustainable reporting, I would like to touch on the previous big thing we experienced, integrated reporting. I would like to share some of my experiences. I believe, at least from the Sri Lankan's perspective, I believe we have never got the integrated reporting right, conceptually. Because I'm worried whether it would be replicated with the IFRS S1 and S2 also, because we always spoke about integrated reporting, but hardly realized integrated reporting had been a byproduct of integrated management, which is a separate holistic management philosophy. And we noted, for instance, when we announced our in our award ceremony the award for best integrated annual report, at the initial phase we got only 2 reports, and during the second year we got some 30-odd reports, then it went beyond 100. But still, when we really went into detail, we noted only 3 to 4 reports have been really producing true integrated reports based on integrated management. That's my experience with respect to integrated reporting. And in the first session, Dr. Adukia had a very nice approach in terms of, convincing the audience as to importance of the subject. He mentioned about the practicing opportunities, actually. In fact, it's a practical approach. That time my mind went back to maybe 20 or 20 years back. I asked this question from my senior partner those days. He was late, Mr. Sindhudra. He passed away 10 years back. And we both used to have conversations on various subjects. He was an England and Wales qualified chartered accountant, very thorough gentleman. I asked him once, "Sir, what's a profession?" So he quickly, without much thought, gave me a good answer. He said, "Look, well, profession, I will explain, but do you know who the professional is?" I said, "No, I'm a bit confused," because I was seeing various practices by, professionals. Some are ethical, some are unethical. So he was telling me, look, a professional is a person who would capture a certain set of skills and knowledge over a period of time, and he would bundle his knowledge into service products and deliver to the market in such a way to fulfill a requirement in the society. And then he said, look, money would be a byproduct, but if you are really good at your core, you will get the enough of byproduct. Now, being practical in the context of the sustainability reporting also, especially referring to S1, S2, I see many opportunities for practitioners to come up with various service products, because they also should have some motivation for the time that they would be spending. It's not about the disclosure and the assurance report on top of it, Mr. Chairman. I mean, there's more into it. Now, you may recall in Bidur's presentation, under S1, IFRS S1, he referred to 4 pillars based on which the standard been constructed. Can you tell me what are those 4 pillars? Yeah, governance strategy. Yes. Yeah, matrices and targets. The other one? Risk management. Now, as a practitioner, this is very good. Thank you. As a practitioner, this is what I would do. I'm not from a big four. I would develop a methodology, to a win-win methodology. I would develop this methodology and go to my clients and say, as an advisor, look, we have this new requirement, it's forthcoming, and my methodology would be probably in 4 phases. I would say we would help you out in formulating a policy on ESG, right? And I would convince the board to have a policy. Then number 2, in the second phase, I would help the management to bringing sustainability practices into the strategy, right? Then at the third phase, I would develop, I would enhance my methodology to develop an optimum risk management framework covering all the sustainability practices. And finally, I would help out the management to develop a set of MIS, management information, along with all these matrices and targets to pass on information top and down. So it's a practical approach. So from the institute's perspective, we know whenever we announce an award, corporates would jump onto, adopting, seeking the award, right? So then along with all the education, etc., we would adopt kind of a practical approach. So for the time being, I would stop, Mr. Jha.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you, Tishan. Praveen, I know you've been talking since morning or every session that you were in. So anything that you want to supplement?
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Firstly, since it's session after lunch, so I'll say something. Firstly, thank you for passing the question from this to this side directly. Since he's my senior, he's a past president of ICAN. He's also the chair of Accounting Standard Board. I have already told him, if you ask difficult question, I'll revert back to you that he knows more than me. So, so that was my plan. So the thing is, like, our situation, hearing all the 3 dignitaries sitting around me is not different from what is there in India and in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. And then thank you, Tishan is a very bright person that I've come across. I've met him like a couple of times in his country and once in Maldives. So then he has actually tried to explain to us how can we get more business. So thank you for that. And Preeti is somebody who was actually, she said 10 years when whatever she went to Sustainable Board. And it was me who was actually introduced to Sustainability Board when she was the chair. So whatever I can talk about sustainability, something goes to her. She's my guru. And Sabir sir, I've been like seeing him for a long time, and then for last couple of years, and then I learned a lot from you. Thank you for that. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, from Nepalese perspective, we are not different. It's just the same. There are clients that we know who only print three or 4 pages of colorful audit reports or whatever annual reports to get award, whereas in the shareholder the meeting they just send across the photocopied version in black and white. So I was hearing to his words. I think okay, then the situation is not that different in our country as well. So there are reports which are generated just for getting awards, and so basically whatever is standard actually we have to like follow it. And sustainability, as I said in the morning, is something which must be, if we are not talking about it, as Preeti ji said, planet should come first, because there is no planet B. There can be plan B, but there cannot be planet B. So
thank you, Praveen. I think as far as Nepal is concerned, from the Accounting Standard Board has already started working on this, developing the standards, sustainable reporting standards. Again, taking the global baseline, S1, S2 as our baseline, and still discussion going on. It's really difficult for us, actually, as we said, S1, S2, or both. Until unless we, apply, we adopt both, we can't say this is ISSB compliant one, ISRS compliant one. And that's clearly it says in the standard that you have to, if you want to make sure that this is the International Sustainability Reporting standards are complied with, you have to comply both. Now, it's how do we actually balance the need of global harmonization in sustainability reporting standards with the necessity of our own local variations. We have got lots of, difficulties, practicalities, and we need to accommodate local variations as well as regional priorities as well. So, Sabisa, have you in Bangladesh, and although GRI, ESG, a lot of reporting have been already in place. Just wondering if you can highlight what is the plan that standard setter, national standard setter in Bangladesh. How do you approach with this? Just giving you background that again, Australia has come up with climate first. Instead of going to S1, they have actually taken S2 as a first because of their own, the mining or necessities. So they actually saying that climate is the first for us. So is there any priorities, anything that have been discussed at the national standard setters from the side?
Yeah, thank you. One thing that is quite unique to Bangladesh is we are substantially dependent on RMG export, ready-made garments export, and one of our primary market is Europe. And perhaps you are aware, European Union has taken an extended due diligence, they call it extended due diligence, that will extend to the sourcing destination as well. Like if you are buying a cloth from, say, H&M or Zara, they required Zara to ensure that the factory that they are procuring product from is practicing sustainable standards. That is the European standards. So most of the RMG or garments manufacturing units, they are forced to comply with that European regulation. Otherwise, the order will cut off. So it is very much the going concern issue. Unless they comply, they are out of business. So they are forced to do that, no option. Whereas for the other group of businesses, we are pursuing regulators to take it step by step. For example, our central bank, Bangladesh Bank, for last few years is focusing on green bond, green financing, so that the entities can move to energy efficient manufacturing process. So that's why we said, since banking industry is already aware of these things, like Preeti asks you to raise hand about sustainability. There were very few, although it was perhaps because of the post-lunch slumber, some of you opted not to raise hand, but generally there is a lack of awareness about the topic itself. So because banking industry is already familiar with the process, we are focusing that you focus on the banks, and then gradually you target the largest listed entities. Like in the earlier session, our friends from Pakistan was saying they have put a threshold of, I think, 25 billion Pakistani rupee of turnover, and then followed by 50% of that assets. So we are, instead of any quantified threshold, we are talking to the regulators to focus on the large entities which has a large carbon footprint or environmental footprint.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I would like to actually add one more question to you. I think, Preetiji, given your role in International Sustainability Standards Advisory Forum, okay, which is the, that is the ISSB, that what's your view regarding integration of ISSB's standard disclosure standards into Indian BRSR or several other standards that is being implemented in India?
So, as regards to the perspective from India and then going to ISSB implementation of S1 and S2, I will connect both the things together. And friends, here in India, what happens, this business responsibility and sustainability reporting is mandatory for top 1,000 listed companies. See, S1 and S2 has come recently, and from 1st January 2024, it has been implemented. However, this BRSR is mandatory from 1st April 22 for top 1,000 listed companies in India. And prior to that also, 180 companies were doing voluntarily this reporting. So this goes much before this, then this ISSB standards S1 and S2 have come. The BRSR, the contents of BRSR is not restricting only to the climate actions, but it is covering all the perspectives of ESG. There are about 141 pointers, or we can say KPIs, which are required to be reported. So it covers entire gamut of ESG, that is relating to the environment, how much carbon footprint, and what are the facilities for this manufacturing. Then as regards to S, as I mentioned earlier, the social, your employees, well-being of the employees, their trainings, the ethical behavior, everything is there. The human rights, the labor laws, everything is covered in S, and G is about the corporate governance. So everything, all the laws, rules, regulations are being followed. So whereas as compared to ISSB standards S1 and S2, so S1 is about the disclosures and S2 is about the climate actions. Here in BRSR, it is totally non-financial reporting. So when we were discussing with the SEBI is a regulator over there in India, and we were discussing so why the chartered accountants should be there and how, what are the opportunities because this is totally non-financial standard, non-financial reporting, whereas as a CA we are always tuned to the financial reporting. So now here we have at ICAI we have already published this sustainability standards assurance engagement. So that is on greenhouse gas statement and the disclosures, what to be reported, how to be reported, that formats are also been given for our members. So that also, Nepal also must be doing that also. So that in regards to, now as regards to see, S1 and S2 are very complicated as regards to the SAFA countries, our South Asian countries are been concerned. So here we have compared everything of S1, S2 and BRSR. And we have actually listed down what are the gaps. So lot of things, that is only relating to the climate action. Here we are covering everything. What are the plus, what are the minuses, and they are actually also wants disclosure on the financial aspects. So when they are also including the disclosure of the cash flows coming out of this non-financial activities. So lot of things, differences are there. We have discussed with our regulators, and now we have next meeting of our advisory forum on 11th of March this month. So now what happens, ISSB, the advisory forum, each and every country they are asking whether you have started following, whether you have, because they are feeling they are the regulators and they have brought out the standards and they are forcing each and every country to actually implement. But it is very difficult to implement S1 and S2, at least for SAFA countries, because a lot of complications and the countries are, the industries are not actually geared up. So we have to bring out some version and bring the support to the companies, the industries, so that they become ready. They are becoming ready for implementation. So it can be over a period of time, it can be done. However, implementation is required. But see, in India, I can give the example, the IFRS and the this accounting standards. So in between version is Ind AS. So depending on what is IFRS Foundation is bringing out, but how it can be adopted with our country's culture. So those can be seen and can be brought out. That version, the middle version can be brought out so that our regulators are comfortable, even the industries are also comfortable for implementation. And in following that, we are actually bringing out and making those standards implemented by the country also. And this is, I can say, the huge opportunity for our members, because the reporting, the consulting, how to make that every company wants that they should announce when they will become carbon neutral. So one of the best opportunity to calculate the carbon, carbon emission, carbon footprint, that calculation, and support the company in becoming the carbon neutral, and the consulting and the reporting aspects. So India at present from 1st April 2023 for financial year 23-24, the first country to adopt the assurance also, that is the audit, where no country so far has adopted. So they are following on the glide path method. So 150 companies for the first year, and over a period of 4 years, right? 1,000 companies will be implementing this assurance, that is the audit of the sustainability. Another part, now we all are maybe the members, and we feel that we are not catering to the listed companies. We are catering to the small and medium enterprises. So how it is actually applicable to us? Because we are not doing any work for listed companies, but my dear friends, the value chain is also mandatory. So what happens when the companies are purchasing, we have to ensure that the companies which are purchasing, these top listed companies who are purchasing from the suppliers, their suppliers are there, it is there, is 75 to 80% of their suppliers also should be ESG compliant. So if they are not, as sir has already said, they are also, the European certificate requires they should be the sustainability compliant. So here also, when your client may be the small one, but if they are supplying to the largest company, maybe listed company or unlisted larger company, they have to ensure that these smaller companies are also ESG compliant, and accordingly those will be applicable to your client also. And if you are providing the service, then they will come to you. Otherwise, this work will go to others.
Thank you. I think before I come back to Tisan, I would like to actually request the audience for the questions. If you can raise the hand, please. Bye. Bye, your mic, Tiuna. पछाडि Please share your name and affiliation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Gautam Yadav, and I am Chartered Accountant from ICAI, passed in 2006, and currently working in Nepal. My questions regarding this sustainability is that since in our income tax there is no such expenses have been mentioned whether it will be allowed or not allowed. So if the enterprise spends on that sustainability or expense on that reporting would be second part. First, we have to achieve all these tasks. For that, we have to expense incurred. So that expense will be allowed or not. It is not mentioned anywhere. So probably that should be answered by our technical team. And one of the act that has been Industrial Enterprise Act that has came into 2076, and its regulation came into 2078, where 1% profits can be allocated as a CSR expense has been mentioned, and guidelines have been set on that. So the profit-making company can spend from 1%. they can work for social responsibility to achieve all these goals. But those companies who are not making profit, but they are also generating carbon footprints, so how they will achieve it? So these two questions I can expect from yours. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I will let's take a few more questions. Then some of the questions, if you can actually stick to the subject matter rather than it's not a scope that whether this income tax deduction is allowed or not. It's across the jurisdiction. Is Sorry? That will cover, but it's something that it depends on jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Actually, it changes. So still we can, as a panel said, that they can cover up. But I would like to actually have main specific relating to sustainability related questions. I saw some of you. Vishwaji, bhai mag. Yeah.
Thank you. This is great opportunity to learn about sustainability reporting. I had a good opportunity to listen about this climate change and biodiversity seminar, one international just held in Bangkok 1 month back. I could listen more about from the environmental and economic aspect of this subject, where renowned professors from renowned universities were talking about. My question to this forum is about related to 2 or 3 instances that I hear in Nepal, I see in Nepal. That is, number one, I read an interview that by providing subsidy for electronic vehicles, government of Nepal lost about $300 million revenue till date of this fiscal year. And another instance is there is need of destroying huge area of forest in order to construct another international airport. And we had another issue in developing hydroelectricity some 20 years back, if I'm not wrong. That is Arun III, that was the hydroelectricity project, where the biodiversity issue made collapse that project. So with this periphery of losing revenue, destroying forest, and losing even the project, how this sustainable reporting will be applied in public sector? What are the practices carried out by the countries in whole worldwide scenario? I'd be grateful to hear from the great panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vishwaji. कोही हुनुहुन्छ? छैन. Thank you. I think that's all for the time being. I think everybody wants, that was the request actually I got during lunch, that can we finish early or at least in time, so being this is the the last session for the day. So over to you, Sabishap.
I think just on tax matter, although we are not here to discuss tax, but the fundamental aspect of any direct taxation is the direct taxation, that is we call income tax, is levied on the residual income. And from your turnover, all the expenses which are primarily done for the business should be allowed as an eligible expenses, subject to certain threshold on certain types. But the fundamental remain that this need to be wholly and exclusively for the business. And nothing can be more important for most of the businesses than spending for the sustainability. Now, I will take the last question here. I think, you see, always there will be this tussle of the priority. For example, for last couple of years, you might seen in the media, in Bangladesh, we are having some issue with the foreign currency. The reserve is depleting, and IMF has created a bar. We have to raise the, ceiling of the reserve threshold. My good friend Tishan is looking at me because they went through the same process a bit earlier in Sri Lanka, perhaps. So then the government curbed a certain restriction on import. And obviously, one of the biggest source of revenue for the government of our part of the world is the customs duty and levies they impose on the import. So on one hand, you have to preserve foreign currency, and that's why you are discouraging import. On the other hand, by reducing import, the government's revenue is got impacted. So you have to get a tightrope situation where you have to balance. So again, one size will not fit for all. Every country has its own priority, and according to that, they will go through. If for a certain country, biodiversity is a very, very important because it's a life and death situation. Whereas some other countries, okay, you can do a certain tolerable limit because, for example, if electricity is a paramount importance, most part of the country is not, electrified, then that is a most pressing need. So always it has to be both sides of the coin need to be looked at. I will just stop here.
Thank you, Sabiji. I think another question, which Biswaji has actually very, relevant. One is what he's trying to make is, in the name of basically replacing these fuel-based vehicles with these electronic vehicles, with the subsidy given, government lost huge amount of revenue because of the maybe the rate, maybe the subsidy that is given, number one, that means that may not be the priority for the government. That could be one of for implementing this standard. Second one is, I think, one could be that what we are actually here is, having another international airport, where a lot of trees, forests, actually it has to be, deforestation has to be done. Like you reclaim that certain portion of the sea to build, that a lot of big infrastructure in Colombo. So that could be one of the, linking between this international airport versus with your big infrastructure in Colombo. Would you like to comment on that, please?
Yeah. So you asked about the public sector. Now, in my keynote address also, I touched on this, my only involvement with the government sector institutionally, actually, public sector institutionally. I'm a council member of a government university. So last time when we were requested to compile our strategic plan based on the UN's Sustainability Development Goals. I'm sure there's a requirement for other government entities also to do their plans accordingly, because there must be some reporting happening to the UN in the context of the SDGs. So in Sri Lanka, actually now when it comes to these mega projects which would compromise, so we have to strike a balance between the sustainability and development of the country. So we need to have the right balance. As long as laid down procedures being followed with all due advices, I don't see a problem. But taking example from this port city project, there's a bit of geopolitics also played there. Leaving that aside, what happened, the project got delayed by 1 to 2 years because the environmental report had not been obtained in the proper manner. So there was a huge push from various fractions to follow the right course of action. Now what's happening in Sri Lanka, if the people see due to mega projects, behind mega projects, there could be corruption also. Right? Therefore, there are civil societies who are basically alert on these projects. And if they see that the right process not being followed, compromising some of these values like biodiversity, etc., under right to information, people request information and then they go to courts. And then the courts get involved to see whether the right procedure being followed. I think In this context, as citizens of, I'm sure you must be having RTI provisions here also. As citizens, we do have a responsibility in this context, in the context of sustainability. Whenever we see such issues with respect to mega projects, we had to invoke our rights under the RTI, request information and follow a course of action.
Thank you. I think managing the time, I would like to have one question, common questions for all of you. That we are in the SAFA region, quite a bit of similarities, including for the governance to the implementation, and including also we are having a lot of guidelines issued by regulators, say for the bank or the security exchange commissions. And I think I just remember that this being organized by ICAN though, but with the participation of the SAFA, and SAFA president actually would like to know what intervention, what sort of coordination, a cooperation, that can be discussed at the SAFA board level or SAFA level, so that we can have, use the common tool, common pool, technology, or so on. So what would be our suggestion to the SAFA, in terms of adoption and implementation of sustainable reporting standards in our region? Over to you.
I think this is a very good question, and the main purpose of SAFA is that we have the common challenges and the common, we can say, SWOT analysis. If we are on the same page as a SAFA countries. So we can divide this role at various levels. First, as regards to the implementation and representation, since we are having the common challenges and whenever we adopt anything comes from the international level, we can be on the same page actually. And after discussing what are the challenges we are facing, the adoption can be the common, the representation to this international standards forum should be common. We are facing these challenges so that we can have whatever best, so that should be the common representation, sir, at SAFA level. So that actually that voice, actually we can represent our, we can raise our voice and represent the thing in the, for the betterment of our country, our regulators, and the betterment of our practitioners. That is one part. Other part, we can have the common learnings and we can have common research, and those can be presented to the regulators. If we do the common researches, like we have done the common survey recently, and the same has been implemented by all SAFA countries. So similarly, what the research is, like on all SDGs, all 17 SDGs, how it can be implemented and what best can be done. So though common research, we can have 2 to 3 common research papers, and like green bonds, green finance, we can have those researches, and similar researches and common learnings can happen, the experience sharing, the case studies, so those can be done. Thank you.
No, nothing much to add. Only thing is, we see most countries in our jurisdiction, especially regulators, they come for the knee-jerk reaction. Once an accounting standards, auditing standards, reporting standards are issued, we go for the immediate implementation. But sometimes the ground reality doesn't support that. We face, for example, IFRS 16 for lease. We feel a real pressure to implement that, but we have to, and I'm not sure whether we. So the fear that we also need to have that while doing S1, S2 implementation, whether there are incident of mass scale greenwashing. There will be certain tolerable limit greenwashing that we will perhaps accept. But if it's become large scale, then the objective will be defeated. So that's why I think the resource sharing amongst the countries, it is a very important. That thing you can take to the board.
There are many things that together, she just said. And this survey, हामी सबैले ICAN-बाट चाहिँ, I'm just like to explain something in Nepali. त्यो sustainability को एउटा सर्वे छ. त्यो राम्ररी समय दियो भने 2-4-5 मिनेट भन्दा बढी लाग्दैन. के अरे एउटा चाहिँ हामीले लोकली पनि क्वेसन आएर एउटा डेभलप गरेर सस्टेनेबिलिटीको बारेमा जानकारी लिनलाई बनाउन खोजेको थियो, जो अलि इलेबोरेट थियो. इन्डियाबाट चाहिँ ICAN इन्डियाको सस्टेनेबिलिटी बोर्डबाट प्रीति म्यामको टिमबाट चाहिँ एउटा एकदमै सिम्प्लिफाइड, हाम्रो साफाको कमिटीबाट एउटा सिम्प्लिफाइड आछ. त्यो हजुरहरूले एकचोटि रिस्पोन्ड चाहिँ गरिदिनु होला हैन. हाम्रो अहिलेसम्म अस्तिसम्म I'm just survey you see. So response चाहिँ अलि थोरै छ. What I'm trying to say is like there are many things that we can do together, and then we are doing it. The thing is, the way things are here, as Sabir sir was talking earlier, that we have to be like S1, S2, everything implementation is, but the thing is like we have to start, and then if you've gone through the documentations which are locally available, like if you have gone through the guideline ESRM guideline that Rashtra Bank NRB has published, it's 37 pages. Go through it. It's like so very nicely presented. Go through it, you'll realize, okay, that's something for the BFIs to actually comply with. But then it gives us guidance as to how we can like intervene and use it for our sustainability reporting purposes. So basically, it's a very nice documentation. Similarly, the BSRS framework that she was talking about, she is actually involved in it. They have also won some UN award that she failed to mention. India has got some award. Which award, ma'am? You got UNCTAD award. So basically, what as he mentions here, the India is actually moving ahead of the curve. Basically, they want, as he said, the assurance also at the IFAC level, it's at the exposure ED level, ED phase, whereas in India, she's saying that it's already like implemented. So what I'm trying to say is, if you go to BSRS guideline, they have that India has, and SEBI. There's 1,000 companies to comply with. It's Appendix 1, Appendix 2. If you go through it, it's like such a nicely written documentation. You'll really, I've gone through it once, and all the questions are there. You need to fill in the blanks. And then you realize, if you go through it, it's a bit longer documentation, but if you go through it, then you realize, okay, these are the things where I can do it myself as a professional accountant, whereas these are the things where we will require to have partnership with various personnel. So we may not be going for S1, S2 completely here in Nepal, but we have to start somewhere. And whatever lately what has happened with Susan Sir's initiative, basically my president, with his swearing in as the chair, president of ICAN, he just thought about establishing or forming a committee, and then asked me to chair it. So we have a sustainable reporting committee, and then ASB, who chairman is here, so they also have the committee, and the first time in history, a vice president of ICAN is an accounting standard board committee. So we're working together to actually issues. So I'm in one of the committees, technical committee, which is actually doing research, and then so there are many things that we have been doing, and then it's the first year that we actually ICAN and ESB are working together. So we'll try to like think about ways where we can make it simpler as possible, and we'll have to start.
Thank you, Praveen. Yeah, from the Sri Lankan's perspective, Mr. Chairman, last 2 years or so have been kind of a tough time for our corporates because of the economic conditions. So we are pretty much careful in enforcing things. I mean, jumping the gun and enforcing things because, I can see through conversation. When even the regulators, they have to introduce regulations at the right time, looking at the cost benefit. I noted some of our public quoted companies are now looking at delisting because of the stringent rules and regulations that's been brought in over last several months. Because, if you introduce 5-star regulations to a one-star economy, it would not work. People may not comply with. So in this context, being involving with SAFA, this experience sharing would be really helpful for us to roll forward sustainability reporting practices, the assurance practices, etc. in our country. But then we would not enforce, we would encourage voluntary compliance, and the standards itself provide for scalability. So we would make use of those provisions. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have come to the end of the session, and already not only from audience, it's from the panel also. They want it to be finished because they need to catch up a plane. Okay, so that's the another reason for us. I think this conference and this session actually has helped a lot of analyzing the global initiatives as well as identifying the gaps and the measures that we need to take for adoption and implementation of this IFRS S1 and S2 in our region. And this deliberation and the few suggestions have been noted for the SAFA board to take on, and where we can actually suggest and we can have a lot of common pool tool as well as technical, a lot of investment technologies, and even for with the dialogue with a lot, it requires a lot of investment funding as well. So which is, I think we can join hands together to go back to the DPs actually who have got, again, that this is the another area for them to actually their interest. And the last is basically we've been actually having this type of conference or seminars or discussion interactions among ourselves at the professional levels, but we need to go beyond that. Basically, it has to go down to the the business practices, business communities, stakeholders, consultations. As far as we are concerned at the ESP level, that as we said across the region, we are also at the initial stage, despite having a lot of requirements from the legislation as well as the guidelines that has been issued from the different regulators. We are actually trying to make it up uniform, taking all the regulators on board. That's the committee which I chair personally as from the board, where most of the regulators who are actually affected or involved in this process, they are the member of our committee at the board. So we are going to have the uniform standard based on the global baseline, which is S1 and S2, and we are going to have a lot of stakeholder discussions once the draft is ready, and still touching up because it requires a lot of technicalities as far as the metrics, targets, and all those, how to measure all those tools, system and process as well. So with this, thank you very much, panelists. Thank you for your insights and sharing your country experience in terms of sustainable business practices and sustainable reporting standards, the sharing process in place. With this, let me thank the audience for your active participation and patience. Over. Thank you very much. Oh, there is one video, small video, very general awareness video that Preeti wants to share with us.
ICAI Sustainability Awareness Drive. Har Ghar Sustainability. Take care of ecosystem. Save electricity. Unplug appliances when they are not in use. Take advantage of sunlight. Use solar panels. Use energy efficient lights. Install power strips to save electricity. Use water efficiently. Turn off the tap when not in use. Control water leakages. Rainwater harvesting. Use waste RO water for mopping. Sustainable environment. Reduce, reuse and recycle. No plastic usage. Save paper. Grow more trees for sustainable future. Let every household be sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you indeed, respected moderator and the panelists. Special thank you to CA Preeti Savla ma'am for the insightful video. And yes, sustainability is possible if we start it from ourselves and our home. As we've seen in the video that every measure mentioned in the video is doable every day in our everyday lives. So yes, let's be sustainable.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to express our gratitude to distinguished dignitaries with a special token of appreciation. For this purpose, I would like to invite upon the stage the President of ICAN, CA Sujan Kumar Kafle. I request him to provide the token of appreciation to moderator of this session, CA Prakash Sangh Thapa. We extend our heartfelt thanks to CA Prakash Sangh Thapa for exceptional moderation of this session.
Similarly, I would also like to request our President, sir, to present token of appreciation to CA Preeti Savla ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you to all the distinguished delegates for sharing their experiences on sustainable business practices and sustainability reporting. No more, sir. Already provided.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we request all the distinguished delegates to gather for a group photo. Thank you. Thank you to all the distinguished delegates. As we draw near to the conclusion of this event, I would like to take a moment to express our deepest appreciation to each and every one of you for your active participation, insightful contribution, and unwavering commitment to sustainability. Throughout the course of this conference, we have engaged in thought-provoking discussions, engaged valuable ideas, and forged meaningful connections that will undoubtedly propel our collective efforts toward a more sustainable future.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we officially conclude, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to all our esteemed speakers. As we prepare to wrap up this momentous event, I now kindly request CA Sanjay Kumar Sinha, Executive Director at ICAN, to provide his closing remarks. And with this speech, ladies and gentlemen, allow us, your very honored and grateful hosts, for today's event to sign off. Namaste and thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav and Lumanti. The chairman of today's International Conference on Sustainability Reporting, ICAN President, CA Sujan Kumar Kafle, sir. The chief guest of the today's international conference, the Honorable Chief Minister, Gandaki Province Government, Mr. Surendra Raj Pandey, sir. A special guest of the conference, His Excellency Mr. Mohammad Ghulam Sarwar, Secretary General of SAC, SAFA President Mr. Hasanna Kurupu, SAFA Vice President Mr. Asfaq Tolla, Deputy Auditor General Ms. Bindu Bista, Vice President ICAN CA Parveen Kumar Jha, keynote speakers, session chairs, paper presenters and panelists, SAFA delegates, international delegations, distinguished guests and all the participants in the conference. I am more than overwhelmed to have been successfully hosted the International Conference on Sustainability Reporting 2024 in Pokhara. I am confident that this event will encourage stakeholders across Nepal to embrace sustainability initiatives and raise awareness of its importance. Furthermore, I hope the conference has laid the groundwork for future collaboration among SAFA members, ultimately promoting sustainability reporting throughout the SAARC region. I want to express my deepest gratitude to the Institute's council members for their insightful leadership throughout the conference. I also extend my sincere appreciation to the SAFA board members for their technical support and contributions. My sincere thanks to the esteemed speakers, session chairs, paper presenters, and panelists for sharing their valuable knowledge and insightful perspectives. I am confident that these insights will equip all of us with the tools necessary to navigate sustainability reporting and achieve a more sustainable prosperous future. My deepest appreciation goes to the Pokhara Branch Coordination Committee for their tireless effort in making the conference a success. I would also like to thank all the attendees for their participation. Their engagement was invaluable. Finally, a heartfelt thank to the media, technical team, hotel, other logistic teams, and management team and staffs at the Institute and every who contributed in any way for the conference. To conclude, organizing this conference has been a privilege and a learning experience, and the Institute looks forward to your continued support as the Institute pursues future endeavors. I would like to thank Gaurav Khatibada and the Lumanti Maharjan, the MCs of today's conference, for their very tactfully and intellectually handling the program and really appreciating their efforts. And from this forum, I would like to request all of you, all the professionals working in this sector, all the members and all the accounting professionals, book your 2 dates of the April 18 and 19. Because we are coming with the 3rd National Convention on April 18 and 19 in Kathmandu in the Pragya Pratishthan. So we will have the lots of session, most probably the same topic and some topic related to this and some topic will be related with the upholding professional excellence in the accounting profession. So these are the 2 dates I would like to pronounce from here. So we are expecting that, like in the 2 national conventions, we will be having the overwhelming participation from throughout the country. With this, once again, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone for even traveling from Kathmandu, from Chitwan, from various parts of Budwal. So really it is giving some courage to us to organize this type of program in future also. And your participation is always welcomed. Thank you, everyone.